Us right now is former presidential candidate and Donald Trump supporter, Dr. Ben Carson. Dr. Carson, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
You too. Thank you.
What's your take on this? You know, we've been having a debate about this. I recognize Donald Trump walked back from that comment, but the whole idea of answering something without thinking it out, is it becoming grating and too much at this point for supporters? We are seeing him now lag in the polls when it comes to Wisconsin. What's your take, Dr. Carson?
Well, there's no question that he's not a politician, has not been well schooled in political speak. But what people have to understand, and I think a lot of them do understand, is that you really have to give a person a chance to explain what they're talking about, and you have to look at their life. And, you know, it's a combination of things. Will people say things that they may later want to clarify? Of course, particularly when they're taken by surprise. I've done it. Pretty much everybody does it. The people who are best at it are those who are polished politicians. They learn very quickly to listen for the buzzwords, the catchphrases, and what to say in order to cultivate support.
Yeah. Now, I understand what you're saying, and we all know that Donald Trump is not a politician, and that's, by the way, why that's part of the brilliance. That's why he's resonating. People like the fact that they're actually hearing honest, straight talk from him. But there's also a question about leadership. So when you're talking about someone who's leading the free world, or perhaps might lead the free world, you want to have a confidence that, in fact, things are being thought out, well thought out, before discussing them.
Yeah, without question, but it should also give people a degree of comfort to know that someone like him can say something that isn't quite right and very quickly realize it, and also be willing to listen to other people who can help him reframe that. Now, if he just doubled down on it, that would be a different story.
Dr. Carson, Mike Block here. You know, look, I think we can agree that Mr. Trump is perhaps not the smoothest political operator. He speaks off the cuff quite a bit. But getting back to the actual issue here, I know you want to focus on the issues as well. How important is Roe v. Wade as part of the GOP platform and Mr. Trump's platform? What's Mr. Trump's appeal here as you're endorsing him, supporting him? Like, what's most important? Is this the most important issue, or is it something else? What should we be focused on here?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. The fact of the matter is, the real issue is, are we going to be a culture of life or a culture of convenience? What are our actual values? And what do we think about the value of each individual and each human being? And are we willing to invest what we need in order to cultivate the best in all of our people? There's a large group of downtrodden people in the United States of America, and they are used as pawns for political purposes. We need to start thinking about how we actually cultivate those individuals, cultivate those lives to make them valuable, to make them a part of the fabric of success in this nation. The more people we have to pull, the bigger the drag, the more difficult it becomes for us to be successful, the more difficult it becomes for those individuals to realize the potential that God has put in each one of them.
So do you think we understand, as a community, do we understand Donald Trump's values?
No, we don't. I think, the unfortunate thing is we've gotten to the point where we expect political speech. And Donald Trump, like myself, is very much against political correctness and political speak. Let's just actually talk about the issue. Let's actually put the values on the table. This is one of the things that many in the left don't want to do. They much rather call you names than to actually sit down and discuss the issue in depth and the reason that they believe what they believe. Because very frequently you ask them and they don't know what they believe.
Well,
and you go to some of these rallies and you ask the people, and you ask them. You see, when you go to the rallies and you ask them, why are you here? Why are you against this? And listen to their answers.
Yeah. You make a good point, because, Dr. Carson, we did have some negative comments, actually, from Vice President Joe Biden. He spoke with Billboard, and the Vice President said, here's the quote, "When I listen to some of the stuff Donald Trump says, it just makes me sad."
Well, I think probably anything makes him sad that doesn't agree with what he has to say. You know, that's the sad part, really. You look at some of our universities, you look at places where people are trying to shut down people who don't agree with them. That's not what a pluralistic society is about. A pluralistic society that's mature and that's strong and thriving is one where people are willing to discuss their differences and try to reach accommodation.
Do you think that this is the wise move with the northeastern states coming up in terms of their primaries? Dr. Carson, you know, you've got Hillary and Bernie Sanders in New York right now. You know, they're sort of looking past Wisconsin. Do you think that's the right move, knowing the contests that we have ahead? You've got New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, et cetera.
No, I mean, that's a political move, political strategy, but the fact of the matter is every single state is vitally important because they contain Americans, and the interest of Americans is what the leaders need to be concerned about. They shouldn't be as concerned about their own personal philosophy as they are about the cares and needs of the people.
Yeah.
We're supposed to serve the people.
Dr. Carson, it's good to have you on the program this morning. Thanks so much for weighing in.
My pleasure.
We'll
Thank
see you soon,
Maria.
sir. Dr. Ben Carson there. Don't